Before Rome, Persia, and Babylon, one king invented empire. Before empires, southern Mesopotamia was a crowded world of rival city-states: Uruk, Lagash, Kish, each proud, wealthy, and fiercely independent. These cities were some of the first great urban experiments in history, rising from irrigation, trade, and temple power. Their rulers controlled local land, labor, and gods, but their authority rarely stretched far beyond the walls and fields around them. This was a world of competition, diplomacy, raids, and shifting alliances, not of one unified state. Its art already showed hierarchy, ceremony, and war, but politics remained fragmented. Administration was growing more sophisticated too. Seals, records, and officials were already shaping early government. This was the landscape into which Sargon of Akkad rose, a man who would turn conquest into something larger than victory. His origins became legendary. Later stories said he was set adrift as a child and found floating in a river basket. Whether the tale was true or not, it gave Sargon the aura of a ruler chosen by destiny. He likely began as a royal cupbearer at Kish, close enough to power to understand how fragile power really was. Then he seized his moment, overthrew his rivals, and began to subordinate the old Sumerian order city by city. Uruk, Ur, and other southern centers fell under his authority, and for the first time their submission did not just produce tribute, it produced a system. That is what made Akkad revolutionary. Sargon did not simply dominate cities. He bound them into a single political structure. His army was central to that achievement, mobile, organized, and capable of striking repeatedly across the river plain. Conquest alone was never enough. Garrisons, loyal officials, and permanent oversight had to follow the march of the army. Empire meant ruling people you did not grow up with in cities that had their own traditions, gods, and elites. It also meant recording obligations, labor, tribute, supplies, and taxes in an administrative language the state could use to remember and enforce. Sargon's dynasty made that authority personal and hereditary. The first empire was not only territorial, it was dynastic. Power also had to look legitimate. Kingship was presented not as accident, but as something cosmic, sanctioned, and ordered. One of Sargon's most brilliant moves was political as well as religious, placing his daughter Enheduanna at Ur as high priestess. Through figures like Enheduanna, the empire fused military control with temple authority and elite culture. Her surviving literary tradition reminds us that empire was not just swords and taxes. It was also ideology. Under Sargon's successors, especially Naram-Sin, imperial power grew even more monumental and self-confident. The king now appeared not just as a ruler among rulers, but as a figure towering over enemies and landscape alike. This was something new in history, a state trying to project centralized power across multiple conquered peoples and regions. Empire differed from a normal kingdom because it did not rely on one city alone. It ruled through a network of subordinated cities. It needed communication, records, loyal administrators, and a political imagination larger than any single city-state. It also reshaped identity. Akkadian language and royal authority spread over a landscape long dominated by Sumerian local traditions. Even when cities kept their temples and local customs, they were now tied to a larger imperial frame. But the very scale that made Akkad powerful also made it difficult to hold together. The empire needed constant resources: grain, labor, transport, and military loyalty to keep distant regions obedient. When rulers were strong, the machine worked. When succession weakened or pressure rose, cracks could spread quickly. Later tradition remembers revolts, external pressure, and deep instability in the final generations of the empire. After Akkad's collapse, new powers rose, including the third dynasty of Ur, but they inherited a transformed political world. The old city-state model had not vanished, yet Sargon's experiment had permanently changed what rulers could imagine. From Assyria to Persia and far beyond, later empires would repeat the same core idea: conquer many cities, keep them governed, and turn victory into administration. That is Sargon's real legacy. He did not invent war, kingship, or taxation. He turned them into the first real empire,